It has been review bombed to death. It's at a 6% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. But even with the critics, it's not that high. 42% for the show Velma. Can it really be that bad? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to another TV review. This is for the adult animated series Velma on HBO Max. It finally dropped its last couple of episodes today, as a matter of fact, as I'm recording this. It was doing, I think, 2 a week from the beginning, and now they're all up if you care to peruse this. Like I said, it's been getting trashed by the audience, but a lot of that is just review bombs. People don't like that Velma is not white, I think, in many instances. People don't like that Scooby-Doo is not in the show. We'll get to that. But even critics are on the fence here with a 42%. So definitely some varying opinions, but leaning on the more negative side. So we'll find out here what I think of this in just a moment. But first, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thanks for finding this video. We've got a ton of movie and TV reviews. I try to put one up almost every day, at least 5 a week or so. But lately, it's been every day since I've been breaking down my TV reviews in separate videos instead of lumping them all together for the week. But in any event, please consider subscribing down below if you're not one of my subs already, and just like or comment this video too if you are one of my subscribers, because that all helps the channel too, and I do appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about first my history with this franchise. So obviously, look, I've dropped off over the years, right? I'm in my mid-40s now. I haven't followed along with all of the different iterations they've had over the last 50 years, more than that now. But when I was a kid, this was one of my first favorite shows. I watched this as young as 2. And the reason I know that is because the Headless Horseman episode of the original 60s version apparently scared me so much it gave me nightmares. And so my mom said, well, you have to be a little older to watch this. We're going to stick with Sesame Street and the Brady Bunch for you. So I think, I picked it up again probably about a year later when I was, 3 or 4. And throughout my childhood, it was a favorite. We had the Scooby movies with the guest stars. All the kids loved them, at the time. Phyllis Diller, oh my God. I had no idea who that was. Mama Cass had no idea who that was. But some of them I knew. The Harlem Globetrotters, Three Stooges were on. I knew who they were. But anyway, so that was fun. But then as, they started making new episodes into the 80s, you had the Scrappy-Doo stuff, Scooby-Dum, the Laugh Olympics, Hanna-Barbera Laugh Olympics. That is a classic. The Yogi Yahoos, or no, was that Wacky Races? There were a couple different contest shows where they put a bunch of different of the Hanna-Barbera shows in one thing. Wacky Races might have been the Yogi Yahoos. I forget. Anyway, I have some of these on DVD. I love the old Hanna-Barbera stuff. But anyway, so Scooby-Doo, I'm a fan. Let's say that. But of course, I've fallen off over the last 25, 30 years. I know they keep making different iterations, and Zombie Island, all the different movies they've had. Anyway, so this came about. It is co-created by Mindy Kaling, and she stars as the voice of Velma, alongside Constance Wu, Sam Richardson, and Glenn Howerton. He plays Fred. So it's basically the adults from the Scooby Gang. So everybody's in it as sort of the origin story, but it's before they met Scooby-Doo, so Scooby's not in it, which I think is definitely a sticking point for some, but I don't think it's the main one. I think there's a lot of other issues people are having with it, and some of them, yes, are on the racist tip. I think anytime you get review bombs like this, anytime there's, less than really probably 20% in an audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, that's due to some, nonsense, people just being jerk-offs. And I think that's certainly the case here, because even a really bad movie like a Medea or something will still get 30%, 40%. So to have a 6% audience score, you're getting review bombed out the butt, right? So okay, we don't maybe pay as much mind to that, because those are just stupid people doing stupid things, writing stupid things. But then when the critic rating is also 42%, that is not good. So I was like, I gotta watch this show as a fan. This is the first really Scooby-Doo thing I've seen in terms of something new in a little while. I couldn't even tell you maybe what the well, okay, I can. I watched that when they did the Scoob movie from, what was that, like 3 years ago or something. So I did watch that. Okay, but that was very different as well, because that was also sort of an origin story of how the gang got together and whatever. This is more of a high school soap, like 90210, Riverdale kind of a thing. Definitely a lot of Riverdale vibes, CW vibes for sure. Um, but with the mystery element involved and all that, which Riverdale ended up having that too. But so, supernatural stuff is still a part of it. Solving mysteries is still part of it. But in the setting of these, rich high school kids, Velma's, the loser, the nerd, the unattractive one, whatever. Fred's the all American, white bread, rich guy, whatever. So here's the problem. Because of all the review bombs, because of some low scores, and because of my love for this franchise, I really went into this with a pretty open mind. And I love Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling has not done anything that I've given less than like a really high grade to. The Lives of the College Sex Girls, what was it called? The Sex Lives of College Girls. That's on HBO Max as well. Obviously, the Office. She was a writer there, and then she became one of the characters. And then the Mindy Project is excellent. Never Have I Ever on Netflix, excellent. Her book is excellent. I don't even read much, but I read her book a few years ago, and that was great. So I really, really wanted to like this, and I'm sorry, it's just not very good. It has some okay elements to it, so let's sort of talk about those a little bit before I go off on the bad stuff, because there's a lot more of that. But I do think some of the ideas here are okay. I think taking it into that sort of Riverdale type setting. They even talk about Betty and Veronica, and I think they name check Riverdale in the first episode. As because it went a little meta, which is one of my negatives. But they talk about how, oh yeah, taking an existing property that has been for decades, so family friendly and fun, and now making it into this dark gritty thing like Riverdale did. Whatever. Okay, so it's a little too on the nose. You could be meta, but it's too obvious, the things they're talking about. Just, you don't have to mention everything. The whole first couple of scenes in the first episode is all about that. They're in the steam room or whatever, and they're all talking about, oh, the pilot episodes of these shows have to be, have to up the nudity and the sex, and that's how we know what Mrs. Maisel's boobs look like, all that. It's like, oh man, like you're really going for like, let's be edgy here, and the meta thing was not really working for me. But I'm like, all right, it's just the opening episode, the opening scene. Let's see how it progresses. And then, there's a whole thing between her and Fred, and her and Shaggy, who his real first name is Norville, so they call him Norville here. Yikes, is what I can say about some of this stuff. It's just not well written. And I realized part of the problem when I looked at the credits, Mindy Kaling didn't write it. If she had written it, I think maybe we'd have a different sensibility to it. She is a producer, so obviously she's approving of things going on here. And she's, the title character, so she's voicing it. But I think if she was writing it, boy, I was going to say starting with positives, and then it delved in immediately into the negatives. But the positive in there was that I liked the basic premise of, okay, let's take these kids and make it more of a CW type of soap, because all those shows, Riverdale and Nancy Drew and all those, have turned into basically Scooby-Doo. It all dates back really to the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show, because they called themselves the Scooby Gang and all that. So now the CW is like prime for all of these. Okay, let's get these soapy teen shows and make them supernatural, make them mystery elements, make them a little horror maybe. And so I liked that concept, and I even like some of the concepts for the different characters. Having Fred, makes sense to have Fred be sort of the douchey rich guy, whatever. Is it overly clever? Maybe not, but I liked it. And then some of the jokes actually do hit. But the problem is, they're trying way too hard with the let's be edgy, let's be meta humor, that I would say the joke ratio is probably about a 20% if that, maybe slightly higher, but I don't think it's up to a 25. I think, one in every four jokes, no. I would say one in every five, around that ratio. That's not great for what they were going for. They were clearly going for a straight up comedy vibe, especially with the cast. You've got Mindy Kaling, you've got Constance Wu from Fresh Off the Boat. Sam Richardson was in The After Party and a few other things. Glenn Howerton, obviously Always Sunny, and AP Bio. So, like, they're looking for, some of the top sitcom jokesters here. And it just was missing the mark so many different times. I really, really wanted to give this a good chance. And look, it is not nearly as bad as the audience score, the review bombs. I think something like a 42%, I think is pretty accurate, actually. Because I'm sort of right there in that basic camp. I'm going to leave Velma with a D+. I know that maybe that's a little lower than 42%, but I don't think that the hit ratio of jokes is there. The voice acting's fine. I'll give them that. She actually plays Velma very well. But, that's another thing. I know I already gave my grade, but one more thing. They didn't make Velma a very likable character. They made her this Daria-esque character, but with zero development. She's always just kind of a bitch. The whole, she's got this attitude problem and whatever put upon. And it's like a Daria, but Daria you love because A, she's got the jokes, but as the show went on, she really, her character kept developing, whatever. Here, I didn't see that. So that's another, big negative, I think, if your main character is so unlikable. It's a rare miss for Mindy Kaling, for sure. But if you want to check out the episodes, like I said, they are all streaming now on HBO Max. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.